You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, welcome along to Three's a Crowd.
Morning.
Ted literally has he's been down, and
He's just walked in.
He has, yeah. He literally just walked in. He's been watching the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, which we're going to start with because obviously it's International Week. There is football-related stuff we're going to have a chat about. But Ted,
we're struggling for content.
We're struggling for content, yeah. Let's get your opinion about that fight last night. I mean, for me, I didn't watch it. I had no intention of getting up to watch it. I knew that I'd be able to see it first thing on one of the news channels. Got up to watch it on Sky News, and of course, it went the distance. What was it? 8 rounds. It was the unanimous decision for Jake Paul. 80,000 people in the arena to see Mike Tyson, a shadow of Mike Tyson, it has to be said. Fair play to him. What I will say from what I've seen on the brief news clips that I've watched this morning is for a 58-year-old man to get yourself in that shape, all praise to him, credit to him. I think we'd all give it a good go for the reported $20 million. And Jake Paul, a YouTuber, I think, 40 million. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think of Jake Paul. What you have to do is you have to give the guy credit because he's come from doing what we're doing this morning, coming on YouTube, talking, and giving our opinions on our football clubs week in, week out. And he's turned that into a career and a very profitable career. So fair play to him. And he's achieved a dream, which I guess, was always to step in the ring with Mike Tyson. He's done it properly. He hasn't just done it, gone in with Mike Tyson. He has had other fights, much publicised fights. But you're the closest to getting the ringside out of the three of us, Ted, because you got out of bed to watch it. What was it like?
Well, bizarre. For one, getting up at that time, you go, do I have a beer or do I have a coffee? It was just the most bizarre
I'm
feeling.
used to it.
I had both. It was. Listen, first of all, the undercard, Steve, was actually very, very good. And there was the 2 fights before the main fight were very good. It was Cabellos and I can't remember the name of the other fighter now. Then there was the 2 lady boxers.
Mate.
My God. It was the Irish girl. Is it Kelly?
Yeah.
She won again. She never won that fight, Steve.
Nah,
never in a million years did she win that fight. That was
didn't.
A very contentious decision. That the Puerto Rican had that hands down for me. I can't remember the Irish last winning a round, to be honest. But there we go. But yes, the main event in true style, Jake Paul came on in some sort of drop top weird car, singing In the Air Tonight. It was all very theatrical. It was all very cringy at times, to be honest. The fight itself, first round, you think, okay, he's a little bit, Tyson was a little bit unsteady on his feet. Let's be honest with it. But yeah, after that, mate, his legs looked like they'd gone. It wasn't so much the power, it was his legs. His balance was all over the place. And Rice summed it up. Yeah, the knee was heavily strapped. Now it was strapped all the way through training as well. So clearly there was some sort of problem there. But yeah, that was it. Thank you, SGP Davis. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano was the fight before that. Terrific fight, but absolutely the wrong result. But yeah, it was just sad by the end of it. It was, they say never meet your heroes. Well, never watch your heroes come back into the ring at the age of 58.
Amen.
Because it was just... Look, a 27-year-old Mike Tyson versus a 27-year-old YouTuber, you're talking a completely different story there. Absolutely completely different story. It was just it was a mismatch, and the winner there was to be honest, Father Time. He's the only invincible one out of any of us, and it was just sad to see. In the end, it didn't go down well in the crowd. There was lots of boos happening there as well. So yeah, it's gone. I had hoped to see a little bit of theatrics and a bit of a miracle from Tyson. It wasn't to be, and it ended up. And I hate saying this, Steve, you were right. I just hope for more, but ultimately, mate, you were right. It was a bit of a debacle at the end of the day.
It was sad.
Yeah, but like you say, terrific that Mike got himself in shape for that at the age of 58. I mean, that's mate. I'm 45 and I'd settle for that kind of age. I know Ry looks shocked that I'm actually that old. I know it's my skincare regime. But yeah, disappointing at the end of the day. But at least I've had absolutely no sleep and I feel awful.
Do you think KSI will beat Jake Paul? I mean, KSI is another one, isn't he? Another reality YouTuber, whatever. And I mean, that's probably going to be.
Or as I like to call him, Thrush.
Yeah, that's the realm they should stick to, though. I'm sick of the YouTubers crossing into the boxing realm. And I was saying to you, Steve, just before we went live as well, the shame thing for me is that Mike Tyson has one of the best boxing legacies, of our era, much like, Anthony Joshua and all these sorts of other boxers that have stepped in the ring and done their craft to the absolute, thing. But it's sad to me that the very last boxing fight that we'll ever see potentially is Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a YouTuber. Do you know what I mean? A 58-year-old versus 27. Go and get your bag, go and get your money. But in terms of boxing legacy and traditional boxers, I just feel like it tarnishes it a little bit. And I just hate that. And look, if YouTubers fighting YouTubers, go and do it. Go nuts. But when you've got boxers coming out at 58-year-olds, 57, who's Jake Paul's going to be fighting Joe Biden at 81 next or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's his next opponent. I don't know what he's doing, but you know what I mean? And I want to see him, if he's going to be a boxer, if Jake Paul wants to be a boxer, then do it properly. Go and fight in the proper, get your card and all that sort of stuff, and fight people that are actually boxers at that era. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to give you the money that Mike Tyson fight did, but that's just the frustrating thing for me, is that it's just a bad taste for boxing as a sport.
Yeah, Dave, you're right. It does go down as an official loss. Did have to be sanctioned as a fight. So
after 4 rounds, I think it was, it became official.
Did it? Damn it!
Unbelievable.
Look, I see what Ry's saying, right? But in a weird way, Jake Paul's doing actually quite a lot for the sport here. Because
true.
Yeah.
You look at the following he's got, and there'll be any amount of kids watching that, teenage kids. That's his marketplace, with his brother with the Prime drink and all that sort of thing, which we're open to sponsorship for that. If the Paul family want to get in touch with us, just reach out on our socials. You haven't. Oh, you've got Lucasade. Or is it Oasis? What are you drinking?
No, it's Lucasade.
Oh, good man. But no, you see a lot of young kids who are watching that, and they're watching their favourite YouTuber. All right, the lad might be a bit of a prat, but one thing you can't take away, whoever he's surrounding himself with, and he may be doing it off his own bat, commercially, this lad is very, very savvy. Make no mistake about it. And to be honest,
can I ask you, Ted, though, just quickly?
If that gets a few kids interested in it and gets them into the game of boxing, that's a result, because that ensures the future.
If you blew up tomorrow, right, for some reason, Ted the Mackham goes viral on, his Christmas cake, drops on his, tummy or something like that, and it's just a viral video, and you're the next YouTube star, and then for some reason, do you find yourself, doing boxing?
Well, I mean, do you want to put your money where your mouth is? We'll go in the ring for charity.
That's what I'm saying, though. No. I just don't get it. Like, I don't like that. I get you right, and he brings in a whole different audience, and that's great for boxing, because the boxing audience and the numbers and all that have definitely been dropping, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? And everyone can see that, and nobody tunes in. But, this gets people talking, gets people looking into it, because it's a different audience, and you got the Jake Paul aspect of people just wanting him to get smacked in the mouth, sort of thing. So I get where you're coming from. It's just, I just hate seeing, the legacy that is Mike Tyson, the legacy that is Jones Jr., whoever it is at 58, 40, whatever it may be.
I agree.
Getting, the last fight we ever see, you know what I mean, is him losing to Jake Paul, for goodness sake, not, Vander Holyfield or whatever it may have been.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting way of looking at it. I mean, I'd love to see you two get it on in the ring. By the way, I'm happy to promote.
I'd bite his ear. I'd fight dirty. I'd bite his ear.
That's typical Steve, that, right? Not like sort of, I fancy getting in shape and all that sort of thing. No, he put his Don King wig on and just went like, oh, yeah, I'll promote that. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, you take the money, Steve. We'll do all the hard work. Yeah.
He's the promoter. He's always promoting. Love him.
Borough fan, keep out of this. Borough fan.
You've knocked the crap out of him. He's ex-services, man.
Borough fans is a 3-way cage fight. That's a great idea.
Hell in a cell.
I've got a substitute who I'll be putting in anyway.
Same.
From a local radio station. Anyway, moving forward, let's have a look at the comments section, and we've got some great questions coming in. Barry was first in, so I must say morning, Barry. He says, morning, guys. He says, Steve, rumours circulating River Plate have bid £10 million for Miggy. Would you accept it? And he says, Ted, rumours that Dortmund have set the bid for Bellingham. How much is he worth? Well, look, I would take 10 million for Miggy. I think that's a fair price as well, Barry, for our Paraguayan international, and he's still doing well for his country. And you know, he's never let us down as a player. Played a big part in the last 3 years under Eddie Howe, but Father Time's catching up with Miggy as well. So yeah, I would say that, you know, it would be time for him to go. You know, rumours circulated, of course, that in, you know, previous transfer windows when maybe Newcastle have tried to sell him, that he hasn't been keen on the move, so he hasn't gone, and that's his prerogative. You know, it's up to him to go to a club, I guess, where he wants to go to. So is River Plate somewhere where Miggy would like to go? Well, it's certainly the right side of the equator. You know, maybe that's a move that he would fancy, but it's up to him. We may be stuck with him until his contract runs out, Barry. But yeah, look, if the simple question is, would you take £10 million for Miggy? Yes, I would. I just hope that that's the kind of club that he would want to go to when he goes with our best wishes. Ted, Dortmund set the bid for Bellingham. I mean, this has done the rounds now for the last 7 to 10 days in the press. You know, and of course we all know why. He is talented. He is a good player, and of course his brother went down the same route.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise at all. That's, you know, the next stage in his development, I suppose, is he moves from a championship team to Dortmund and then potentially on, you know, one of the biggest clubs in the world, exactly the same as what his brother did. It makes sense. I think Dortmund are the sort of club who would take a player to that next level as well. I'm not saying Sunderland couldn't do a good job and still do some development work with them. I think there's still work to do there. But undeniably, this kid is going places, and you know, it wouldn't be a surprise if they tested our resolve a little bit. If Borough fans, Sunderland will start to fall apart over this. Get away, man! You've only had 2 wins off the bounce. Behave yourself. I wouldn't like to see it happen right away. I think, you know, they might test our resolve in January, but you're talking big money for this. If Jack Clark goes for 15 to 20 million, you know, with add-ons or whatever, Job is worth more than that. You know, Jack Clark has had a faltering start to his career. Job is just improving all the time, and you can see elements of his brother's play in him. I think he's a midfielder that sits slightly further back than what Jude does, but you know, he's a £20 million plus player. I've got no qualms in saying that right off the belt. You know, he did very, very well for the under-21s.
He did.
He's looking solid. He had a cracking game, to be honest. Didn't look out of place at all in essentially Premier League company. So he is going to go for a lot of money. We've got to accept the club as it is right now, that this is the way we're going to survive. Is we're going to produce talent like that, or you know, further produce talent like that. Obviously, he came from Birmingham. They've done a great job. We've nurtured him. He's improved. That's the way it's going to be with us. We'll have to sell these players and buy another one. You know, like what we did with Jack Clark. We knew that somebody was going to come in for him, so you go and get a Romain Mundle, and you know, fair play to somebody like Romain Mundle. We haven't missed Jack Clark so far this season. But yeah, it'll be big money, Steve. We don't want him to go yet, but I think it's inevitable. Even if we get into the Premier League, somebody the size of Dortmund, you can't turn that down.
No, definitely not. Right, is there anybody that you're concerned about that you could potentially
use?
Big
time, mate. Big time. We got a few. We got, obviously, Ben Doak on loan, 18-year-old from Liverpool, absolute star down the right. It's everything through Ben Doak at the moment. You know, Middlesbrough's attack, Middlesbrough's wave of, you know, 9 goals in the past 2 games coming through Ben Doak. A young 18-year-old Liverpool loanee had man of the match against Croatia last night for Scotland, mind you, by the way. And there's some footage there going around online of him just absolutely destroying, Gvardiol's career, the Man City left back. So it's incredible to see a kid at that age, with the world at his feet. They a lot of people talking about him being recalled in January because he's on a season loan, but he's just done that well. Would he slot in already at 18 years old to Liverpool? Arnie Slot, the Liverpool manager, has already spoken about him, saying how impressed he's been. He's literally carrying the Borough squad in some of these games. So, yeah, look, he's one that we're worried about being recalled. And obviously, big dollar signings. I mean, if Liverpool come in, someone comes in with a $40-50 million pound, offer, and then Liverpool recall him to on-sell him, then, what Middlesbrough just hands are tied. We can't afford that type of money. So Ben Doak's a big one. And then Aidan Morris. I think a lot of people are talking about him. Aidan Morris, the American, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's not missed a beat coming across from the MLS. He's a young midfielder that's just gone from strength to strength. He just, some of this stuff just goes so unnoticed that he does around that pitch, that it's incredible. And I think he's another one that we're worried about losing earlier than we should. Look, it's been 2 very good games on the trot. I think it's put to bed a lot of the naysayers because he's got 9 goals in 2 games. But it's there's definitely with any success comes bigger teams knocking. It's just the thing. We saw that with Chuba Akpom and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Ted's seeing that now. Do you know what I mean? And it's a credit to, I was just going quickly back onto the Bellingham. It's a credit to him because last year was so tumultuous off the pitch for Sunderland that it's in credit to him that he's gone strength to strength under this season, because any other kid could have dropped away with people dressing up bars, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Steve getting free beers and stuff like that. So it's a credit to him that he's gone strength again this season. Under the new management, which is obviously clicking for him. But yeah, no, look, Aidan Morris and Ben Doak for Borough, they're our biggest worries.
Okay, good stuff. Good questions. If you've got a question for me and the lads, get it in between now and 10 o'clock. I did want to highlight this today because this is quite a sad indictment of what's happening in local football. And this is a statement from West Allotment Celtic Football Club. West Allotment Celtic Football Club is sadly on the brink of folding and has written to the Northern League to ask for 2-week suspension of fixtures to explore if the club can continue. A number of factors have led to this point. The loss of our main sponsor, Wade Financial, who over many years helped the club, has left a hole in the club finances, which has never been replaced. Added to this was the rent this season tripling. The club this season tried to make the matchday experience much better, and the provision on the catering unit are also bars offering draft lager and cider, increased social media and roadside boards, which were achieving features we also used. Despite this, the local community has shown very little interest in non-league football. And even when the club finished 5th in Division 1, the attendances were poor. The club had probably the lowest playing budget in the league, but even if this was reduced further, the cost of running the club would not be covered. Our situation is not an isolated one, with many clubs seeing falling attendances. The other major factor is that, like many, we have an ageing committee, and despite many attempts, the failure to attract new members to step up and take on roles such as secretary and treasurer. Our current treasurer is stepping down after 50 years of service, with many others on the committee having been involved with the club for a similar amount of time. As chairman, I've been involved with West Allotment Celtic for 25 years in one role or another, and that now involves making sensible decisions, and in this case, a very difficult one. The club did not wish to dig itself into a financial hole, leaving lots of debt. If anyone is interested in trying to help the club continue, please get in touch directly. We will need investment and people to join the committee in roles such as treasurer and secretary. Our junior and ladies team will continue as they are not connected financially to West Allotment Celtic Football Club, so the name will go forward to reach our 100th anniversary in 4 years' time. Any interested parties, please contact me directly on 07977 413 102, and that was from the chairman, David Dodds at West Allotment Celtic. He put that up on X this week. That's tragic, Ted, to read that. I was involved, and I know you have been involved in local football. I managed a Sunday league team myself for 20 years, and it's awful to read stuff like that, because it is, grassroots is the heartbeat of our game. That's where people start. Jamie Vardy, one of the most prolific strikers in the Premier League, still to this day defying Father Time at the moment, which we've seen we've been mentioning a lot this morning. Came from that era. He was playing against Dunstan in the Northern League. I actually saw him play for the team score against Dunstan, and that's the beauty of that kind of level, Northern League, and anything above that. The pyramid system allows people to progress if you're good enough. And we're looking at potentially a club going out of business there. It's tragic, Ted.
It is, and it's such a vital thing, and it's not just a vital thing to, like, whether it's the pub you represent or whether it's the village you represent or whatever. It's the lads in that squad as well that you've got to feel for, because I would dare say they're definitely not getting paid much, if anything at all, at West Allotment, and that's their community. That's their mates. That's the way they kill time together, and pull on a shirt to represent their local area or their pub, like I say. And to lose that is just criminal, to be honest. I noticed that the rent is tripling now. That's just, it's profiteering where there's not a profit to be made. Charging triple to rent a patch of grass for a couple of hours on a Sunday is just horrendous. I mean, that's brown stuff housery of the highest order, to be honest. Like, I'd love to know who the landlord is, because they should be held to account for that and at least try and keep it going. Yes, appeal to the local area, because this is the annoying thing, because Sunday league football, pub league football, Saturday football, Northern League, it's kind of got this, I don't know, this stigma attached of being like sort of lumping up to the big man, playing through the centre, miss out the midfield. It's not. It most definitely is not. Football has come on a long, long way in non-league, and you actually get to see some fantastic games. Yes, you'll always have the fun stuff. You'll have the massively overweight keeper that you'll occasionally spot who's eating a pie at half time. But what you will see is guys who nearly made it. Like sort of whether they've nearly made it as young'uns or whether they're on the way back down from a career in football. You get to see a vast array of talent on show at these games, and you're missing out. Honestly, if you're not going to see your local team, I'll gladly head up into my village, even in Cyprus, and the standard of football is awful in Cyprus, I've got to say. But I'll still go and watch my local side and get some enjoyment out of that. And go and support them, because these lads they're not doing it for money. They're doing it because they want to represent. They want to be with their mates. They want to be standing, that far away from the fans, and and having a bit of banter. Go and support them, because if you lose clubs like West Allotment, and they've been going on an awful long time, 96 years it is. It's a shame to lose big non-league names like that as well. And in the Northeast, they are a reasonable sized name. Somebody else mentioned about cup finals with them. Absolutely right. I wasn't even in that area, and I know about West Allotment. Go and support them. And there's got to be somebody. It isn't a massive amount of money for a business to go out and support somebody like that. You probably get a tax relief on it out of sports, out of doing some sort of community venture. Please get in touch with this guy, and don't let another non-league club go to the wall like this. It's honestly, it's so sad to see that. Absolutely is.
Right. I mean, do you have this situation in Australia? Do you see this happening with non-league football? I mean, the attendances are something which, where ultimately nobody can affect. You can't make people go and pay money to go and watch non-league football. But it sounds like this club in particular has done all the right things, but just no support on the community side. Yeah, maybe that's down to people's finances. Maybe people can't afford it. The cost of living cutting in. Christmas is on its way. But it does sound as if it's just been a gradual progression. And, we don't know the situation with the rent. Councils are struggling.
Yeah.
Councils have got no money in this country, sadly. It's, it's just another indictment of how bad this country is. And that's why Ted doesn't live here. But yeah, what's your thoughts, right?
Yeah, look, it's actually funny you mentioned this. I actually got an email that I'll just read this email to you. This is from Tom Clark, who is the Redcar Town under-12 Whites head coach. I got this email about 2 days ago, and it's something that we've set up, and I did last year for them as well. But just I think it just ties in perfectly, and this was just a quick email that I'll read out to you. So, g'day, right? My name is Tom, and I am the Redcar Town under-12 Whites head coach. We are in need of some funds to keep these boys a team afloat. I've recently took over the finances, and we are in a complete mess. It costs around £750 a year to keep an under-12s team going. Our funds go towards having to rent a slot at the local college in the winter months so that we can train, which is £22 an hour. We use these for 30 weeks a year, so you can imagine it soon adds up. We have got a Just Giving page now for an under 11s and under 12s. Any extra what is donated will go towards an end of season treat and summer football tournaments that we are preparing to move into 11-a-side next season. I mean, that's just an under 12s, team down in Redcar. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, you look at that, £22 per week just to train, sort of thing, 750, for these young under 12s. You know what I mean? And that's where it starts. You know what I mean? That's where every footballer starts. Under 8s, under 7s. Not every kid is in the Liverpools and the Man United academies. Do you know what I mean? They're out there, grassroots football, and it just hurts. So it's a real shame. And we have it here in Australia. I must say the A-League's struggling. The A-League is big time struggling. The A-League is, for those that don't know, is our league. It's, for those Borough fans, it's where Riley McGree started. And we're not getting, we've got, don't get me wrong, in the bigger areas, your Melbournes and your Sydneys, which are our two main sort of, stays, we get decent crowds, not crazily. But the problem is that we've got in Australia, especially, we've got cricket, AFL, and rugby league doing so well that it just smashes down soccer or football so much that it just drives the A-League sort of backwards sort of thing. And then you've got commercial rights and TV battles and all this pay TV stuff. So we've got it here in the A-League as well. We've got teams that are struggling financially. We almost had Newcastle Jets, who is Riley McGree's founding club, almost went out of business literally 2 months ago until they had someone come out of and find money, sort of thing. So yeah, look, it's a shame. It sucks, and the cost of living for everyone's going up, isn't it? We're seeing it in sport. We're seeing it in grassroots sports. We're seeing it in the lower leagues. We're seeing it all over, that the cost of living, the COVID re-catch up and all this sort of stuff is hurting, everyone across the countryside. But yeah, sports is one of those things. And unfortunately, unless you are, like Ted said, got a business behind you, some sort of wealthy investor, whatever it may be, it costs a lot to put your team out there, every week. There's kits, there's everything that it comes with, sort of thing. And it's a shame that, teams are going. We saw, wasn't it Mask United boys, wasn't it, that we had on the when we were doing that other show? That was we were, they almost went under, while we were talking, doing the show, sort of thing. And I remember that was just crazy. So it's happening left, right, and center.
Yep, sad, but we will keep an eye on that, and I've put that out onto my socials. I'm sure you lads will probably do the same. Give it a
retweet. Send it on, Steve, definitely.
Anything that helps will be great. Anyway, it is time to let the cat out the bag. James, I know, me too. James shoots this one across the bow to Ted. By the time this fills up, he says Sunderland will be promoted.
Fair play.
And I think this is a great one as well. But he's thinking about that flirty tart from the pub. That cross. That header. I can't wait for Sunday. And we've heard of Cole Palmer. Well, here is Cold Palmer versus Manchester United.
Dear God. More like Cold Palmer.
Good stuff from Guna Chris there. But the winner this week, I love this. When you're 3-0 down at half time and the wife's going on, I'm a celebrity. You spot a couple of nice looking grannies in the West.
I tell you what, that wig is not looking good. Like, he wants to get back to Turkey and get that sorted.
Especially down at Plymouth.
He might as well stick the cat on his head. Okay, lots of stuff coming in this morning. We'll not get through all of it, but Barry, you've already had a go, so I'll move on. I love this about the boxing. Davey says we should just have a game of kaplunk instead of fighting each other. Believe you me, that could probably still turn into a fight at ringside. And
imagine us three playing Monopoly.
Oh, mate.
Borough fan thinks that Rye would have an unfair advantage fighting Ted. He says Rye would spar with kangaroos.
Had one on the way in.
Yeah, definitely. Couple of questions coming in for you, Rye, actually.
Yep.
Just about, Ben Doak potentially leaving. Morris is injured. Barry Hogan as well mentioned a Borough question. He said, reading up this morning on Finn Azaz, is he going to be as big a star as they are predicting? So, I mean, a bit for you to get into on the Borough beat there.
Yeah, so look, let's get into it, Borough fans. It's good to see us as well. Obviously, 2 great wins on the bounce, 9 goals in the past 2 games. Has got everyone bouncing in Borough land. Everyone thinks it's clicked. The hard thing at the moment for the Borough is international breaks are coming thick, and they're just, I feel like they're going to kill our momentum almost. But yeah, look, great win against QPR 4-1, and then to turn 5-1 against Luton Town. Oh my goodness, how far Luton Town are probably the worst team I've seen in a long time, by the way. And it was Rob Edwards has got a big job on his hands. If not, he's going to get the sack very quickly, I think, because they were very bad. But look, credit to the Borough. We've stepped up a notch. And with that, as I was just saying, with success comes, you can start seeing, people looking at your stars. Ben Doak is arguably Borough's best star, isn't he? He's 18 years old. He's on loan from Liverpool. Everything Borough do down the right is through Ben Doak. Everything we created on the, during these goals, all the assists, everything is through Ben Doak. How does that affect the Borough? Well, he's on loan. Do you know what I mean? He's on loan from Liverpool. Arnie Slot, who is the Liverpool manager, has already come out and spoken about how highly regarded at Liverpool Ben Doak was. Middlesbrough were one of 8 clubs to offer a loan for Ben Doak, by the way. And that wasn't just in the Championship as well. It was a credit to Michael Carrick, Ben Doak wanting to work with Michael Carrick, but he had the likes of Inter Milan and all these other, big name clubs coming in, offering him a loan stint. You saw last night for Scotland, he got the man of the match performance, and he's 18 years old. The worry for Borough is that if someone comes in January and offers Liverpool 40, 50 mil for this up and coming, right winger, which, isn't, it's football. Does Liverpool then recall him, sell him on? Middlesbrough won't be able to compete with that, and we lose, arguably our best mid that we've seen in a long time. So, look, there are worries there, Borough fans, and I would be cautious with your worries, though. I think Liverpool know what they've got, and I think they're wanting to see him do it over the period of a long season. The one thing that I don't think people talk about is last season Ben Doak was showing signs of this, and he had a bad injury. And it put him out for 3 to 4 months. Now, Liverpool, at the start of this loan, one of the reporters came on and said, look, we're just looking to see what Ben Doak can really do. And this is arguably the first time he's showing what he can do. Do they want to then jeopardize that by selling him, bringing him back too soon? When he's in a good place, he's getting, obviously Borough through and through. I see him staying through the end of the season, but you never fall in love with a lone player, Borough fans, and we know that all too well. Look, Aidan Morris as well, the Captain America. Sad news is he has twisted his knee in international training. He was gone to represent Mauricio Pochettino's boys in the American team. And unfortunately, he's twisted his knee in training. It's his right knee. It's a bad sprain by the sounds of it. Speaking to Rob from the Echo, it's It's going to be assessed when he lands back in Borough. They're thinking 3 to 4 weeks at the moment, Borough fans, but who knows with that? It could be anything, you know what I mean? And again, he'll get scans and that when he lands back on Teesside and stuff like that. Sad one for the Borough because, as we know, he's been an absolute star in that midfield. But it's fortunately a place that we have got good cover for with Johnny House and Dan Barlaser, who scored his first goal as well just recently. So, look, it sucks, and it's the thing with these international breaks. These players go around, and you can't stop them from representing their country, but they get injured. You know what I mean? And it just sucks. It absolutely sucks. So yeah, Aidan Morris is a real upsetting one for us Borough fans, but it kind of maybe puts him on ice just before January as well, or maybe he becomes the forgotten man coming into January because it's he was on pace to create a lot of storm come January, just like Morgan Rogers, who got his first call up as well. Morgan Rogers only being at the club for 6 months before Aston Villa came and stole him from us, and he just gets his first England call up as well, Borough fans. So we know about that one. So yeah, look, there's 2 players there that are are generating a lot of interest. Finn Azaz as well. What a credit he was. It's funny with Finn Azaz, isn't it? And Borough fans, you'll know this well on social media. 2-3 weeks ago, Finn Azaz was the most hated man on Teesside because he just couldn't put a ball together. Finn Azaz and I were equally skilled at football, according to some people on social media. And then 2 games where we scored 9 goals. Finn Azaz is the best player in the world. Finn Azaz is going to Real Madrid and he's going to win, the balloons and balloons and doors. It's incredible the turnaround. Look, Finn Azaz, I've always known there's a footballer there. He's got a great first touch. That pass, that the end product for Finn Azaz is just incredible. He's got leaps and bounds. He's only a young 22-year-old kid. So look, big future there. 3 absolute stars for the Borough. It's starting to click. We need to come back from the international break and keep the momentum going. This will count for nothing. It's 2 wins, yes, but it's behind us now. Now we've got a tough run into December. We all remember what Christmas was like last year, Borough fans. It's a very tough, full fixture list through December where we lost to Rotherham last season, and I was sitting here crying on Christmas shows with these 2 lads next to me because we'd just dropped 3 points at Rotherham, for goodness sake. So tough period coming up for the Borough. The momentum has to continue. But heading into January, when you're successful, you're going to be pushing people away from your star players, much like Newcastle with Isak and Sunderland probably pretty safe.
I mean, that really turned into a bit like a half-term report. But Ted, I'll come to you next about Sunderland. I mean, if you were going to do a school report now for Sunderland, would it say it could do slightly better? I mean, you've had a great start to the season. Are we being a bit harsh, maybe? But I mean, you've drawn a few games now. You're still there though. You're still in a place where I think you would have taken at the start of the season. But with a couple of injuries and stuff, you're looking at a couple of tough fixtures coming up in the next couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, I've already been kind of looking ahead, and I know there was like a couple of fixture changes for January and February. One of them games is the Middlesbrough
our game. Yeah,
down at the empty arena. Echo. It's so far so good, to be honest. I mean, the last couple of games, last 3 we've drawn now. The one against Coventry was disappointing. I honestly think Regis Labrise might have got that wrong. Tactically, just towards the end, we should have been killing games off. There was a few moments where Mundell was through. We could have been 3-0 up, and instead of squaring it, he was going for glory because everybody just decided to start and score worldy goals against Coventry City. It was absolutely unreal, the 2 goals there for us. So the Coventry City was the disappointing one. You come away from QPR with a 0-0 draw, and we're down to 10 men for most of the second half. You kind of go, you'll take that, really. So listen, we are much higher in the league than what we probably all thought we were going to be this season. Let's be honest about it. If somebody had told me going into the 3rd international break, even though we're just in November, and said you're going to be top, and by goal difference, or I think it's the point, or is it goal difference? I think it's goal difference now. You'd absolutely snap people's hands off. For me, it's about bolstering the squad, like you said, Steve, because we're a couple of injuries away, and the rumor is as well that Alan Brown. There's rumours going around. It's not confirmed by the club in any way, but rumours are that he's got a broken leg from the last game against Coventry City. He hobbled off really, really clearly in pain. So that's kind of it's bad news, because that's an experienced head that you need on the pitch, to be honest, especially when the likes of Job's suspended. If Job gets sold to somebody like Borussia Dortmund, then you need an Alan Brown to come in and play his part in that team. The other rumour is as well that Mundell was also injured quite badly in that Coventry City game. Again, nothing official from the club, but you're looking at maybe 3 to 4 weeks there, which at this stage, because he's done so well, we could really do without that. Sure, we've got Tommy Watson, who's a bit of an unknown quantity. He's not really played an awful lot in the first team yet, but he could be getting his opportunity as well. I think we need to go out and really firm up that squad in January. We are in a position that we didn't think we were going to be in. New manager coming in and all that sort of stuff, and the team sort of not really knowing what we were going to get out of these lads, and obviously they've got a bit more experience in the Championship under a lot of their belts now, which is great. I think we've got somebody in Isidore who's just come into the club, gets what it's all about, and puts himself about and scores goals, and some of them absolutely spectacular as well. So. Yeah, listen, I'm happy with the way things are. Like Rye, I think I'm concerned that we are 2 or 3 injuries away from maybe just kind of losing a bit of impetus there. But for me, this international break is actually coming at a good time. Let's bury these 3 draws, get them out of the way. The fortunate thing for us is nobody else seems to want to be top of the Championship at this moment in time either. Burnley dropping points, Sheffield United dropping points. Everybody is beating everybody. So we've got to do our own thing. We've just got to enjoy it. We're still playing some decent football at times. I think we need to develop a little bit more of a killer instinct up top. 2-0 down, let's not get carried away and let's start and try to score Roy of the Rovers goals like what Mundell was trying to do. Let's get it down. Let's score. Right, we've scored 2 worldies. Let's go. Score 2 tap-ins as well, and absolutely bury Coventry, because they were there for the taking. They were awful. They were absolutely awful. Not as bad as what Luton were. But all right, granted, but yeah, it's good progress. It's much further on than what we thought we were going to be. So I'll take it. I still don't think we'll finish top. I still think it's going to be a big ask to do that, because there's teams below us in the likes of Burnley, in the likes of Leeds, who have Premier League money, who have Premier League. You could argue the Premier League squads. If we still in and around, 3rd place, 4th place by coming into Easter, great. We've got every chance. But right now, just enjoying it. So far, so good. Keep it up, lads.
Yeah, I mean, the half-term report for Newcastle is, much
good
improved.
Win last week.
Much improved, yeah. I mean, it was a great trip down to Forest. I always enjoy going down there, and it was, it was a good performance. I've got to be honest. I mean, I've said this on NUFC Matters this week. The first half seemed very slow. We didn't seem to be, going that extra mile, and it felt flat. To me anyway, but there was a guy who was standing in front of us who's I've known for a long time, came up and said, "Look, Steve, I think we'll win this." It's a pity that he didn't have the bet on. He went for 3-1. He said, "We'll turn this around. We'll win this 3-1." We've dominated that half. I didn't see it like that, but I just felt we needed to step up an extra gear. When you heard Joe Linton and Eddie Howe after the game, Joe Ellington, at the end of the game.
What a hit, Joe, by the way.
They both said that was the game plan, to start off in that way, and then to hit them in the second half. And the game plan worked. Biggest credit you can pay Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw is they kept Chris Wood quiet. Chris Wood, 8 goals in the Premier League, 3 in his last 3. Didn't get much of the ball at all. We more or less man-to-man marked him out of the game. And young Lewis Hall, congratulations to him. He made his England debut this week as well at left back. 45 minutes of sheer class from the lad against Greece, and emerged now as England's left back, which is fantastic. But he was superb. He's been my player of the season so far. Absolutely brilliant. But ice cold Alex is back in form. That goal didn't look as good live as it did on the TV. Wow, what a strike. Placement in the bottom corner.
Right.
And, the fact that he has now scored, he's on that run, he's back in form. He's making a difference. But it's that one change we made. It's that one change. Bringing Willock back in, sticking him into that midfield, moving Joe Ellington out onto the left, and giving him that opportunity to get back to doing what he does best. It's given the whole team a bit of shape, a bit of purpose, a bit of lift. Bruno now doesn't look like he's got all the cares of the world on his shoulders. The captaincy doesn't see, the captaincy, which is what we thought was bothering him. It's positional. And I think we know the answer to the question, which we were all asking at the start of the season. Can Bruno and Tonali play together? I think the answer is no. I still think they brought in Tonali to replace Bruno. There was all that talk of buyout clauses and £100 million buyout clause, and he would probably leave and go to Real Madrid because that's where he wants to play. And I think Newcastle have ended up with two world-class players who all play in the same position. And look, when Tonali comes on and he fits in, he plays really well. But it's I don't know. It's such a conundrum to have. But it's good. We're looking in good shape. Whereas the international breaks come at the right time for Sunderland, we all probably feel it's come at the wrong time for Newcastle.
Yeah, same for us.
We'd build up that momentum. But we've got a home game. We play last that weekend. We play on the Monday against West Ham. We'll know what we've got to do and where we'll be if we win. That gives you extra emphasis, I think, in occasions like this. And I genuinely think that Newcastle will continue where they left off. I think things are looking bright. Biggest game, of course, is December the 18th against Brentford at home. Win that, we're in a semi-final, two-leg semi-final. That it really is going to be a big, big thing for us, And if we can go into the new year knowing that we've got a semi-final, wow, our season's well and truly alive. And my daft little quid on 500 to 1 for Newcastle to win the treble this season is still alive. So,
good luck to you.
Yeah,
I just want to ask you, Steve, quickly. We were talking about obviously the Borough coming January. Some players we're interested in, Bellingham, Aidan Morris, Ben Doak for us, but Isak. I mean, incredible talent. I mean, I watched that game against Nottingham Forest, and it was just Chris Wood. All the talk was about Chris Wood, but tell you what, they forgot about Isak at the opposite end. The talk isn't going away for Arsenal. Is there a concern from Newcastle's point of view for Isak and him leaving in January?
No, not at all. Arsenal fans are very good at chatting about this situation, but there's no chance of Alexander Isak leaving Newcastle in January or the summer. There is a lot of chance of Alexander Isak signing a new contract, and I think that will be the next big thing. That could be January, of course. I don't expect Newcastle to be the big mover and shakers in January that some people expect. Okay. I genuinely do feel that Newcastle may finally get rid of one or two players. Maybe Miggy will go. That's just a hunch, not based on any concrete information. I just think that, they may well be able to clear the decks slightly. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think there'll be a massive amount of change at Newcastle. But Alexander Isak, no, mate, he's definitely going nowhere. Definitely going nowhere. There's no chance of that.
Yeah, very interesting.
David, thank you, mate. He says, my friend was at the Derek Wright talk-in last night. Had a great night. Big up Joe's hosting. Thank you. Yeah, it was great. It was great to have Derek at the Irish Centre. He didn't want to do a book launch, and I've been friends with Derek for many years. I watched his, watched him from afar as he's run on and beat virtually every other physiotherapist in the Premier League, running onto the pitch with his bag. Became a bit of a cult hero, but the book is fantastic. In fact, hold on. There we go. I'll give it a bit of a plug again. Derek Wright, My Story in Black and White, 4 decades fixing the mags. But yeah, thank you to the 65, 70 people who came along last night to the talk-in. All got a book with their ticket money as well, and raised money for charity, which was fantastic. But from our perspective, it was a great night. Heard some great stories from Derek as well. Who would have thought that Alan Shearer, Mr. Placid, would have Ginola by the throat on more than one occasion in the dressing room for not crossing the ball? But I will share one story with you. We did record it, so those of you on NUFC Matters will get a bonus of being able to hear it a little bit later this year, probably over that Christmas week that I take off. But it was about a female physio who came to the club who got the job. She got the job to work alongside Derek, and Derek was showing her around the club, showing her the training facilities, showing her where they do all the work, etc. And Derek, for years, had this lovely little orange box which had everything in. Everything that a physiotherapist would need. His sprays, his bandages, and anything that a physio would need. And this went with him throughout his whole career. It's a piece of history really for him, and still using it to this day. At Newcastle Women, he's been helping Newcastle's ladies this week. But this particular box never left his side, and as they finished the look around the club, this lady basically says, I've seen you carrying that box, Derek. It never seems to leave your side. What's actually in it? He goes, that's just all my, my bandages, my equipment, etc. And as he's explaining what's in the box, he opens the box. Well, of course, the lads knew what was happening. They knew he was going to be showing everybody around. So as Derek opened the box, he was surprised to find hundreds of condoms and sex toys in his physiotherapist box. Who had Derek went the brightest shade of red you can ever imagine. But yes, back in those days, Alan Shearer and the lads did like a joke. So that was a great story. But get the book. If you even, it's one of those books that even if you support Sunderland or Middlesbrough, it's a great book to read because you get a great insight into stuff. Davey likes to wind up. He says, looking good that we may well have 3 North East teams in the Premier League next season. He says, that'll be great to see. Plus, guaranteed 12 points for the Toon. So happy days.
There's a good comment in there, actually.
Sunderland, hold on.
There's a good comment in there.
Davey's got a short memory.
Geordie Toon for Life said, Lewis Miley coming on for the final 25 minutes for England under 21s against Spain. Lads, when was the last time, and can maybe a quiz out there, one from each of the clubs representing the England under 21s? We had Hayden Hackney, Bellingham.
That was going to be my what the fuck next week.
Yeah, and Lewis Miley, all one from each club representing England at the under 21s. How's that?
Amazing, mate. Amazing.
Did you just hear? I don't know whether you can hear this. There's actually somebody at the door.
Is there? Do you need to go and get it?
Yeah. Is it Joe?
Mrs. is asleep. She's on night shift. I don't think I can do anything about this. This is great live content, isn't it? I mean,
who's at the door? Who's at the door? Who's at the door today?
You did mention charity, Steve. I just want to kind of burst in on that one. A couple of people noticing the shirt, which just arrived yesterday. Great initiative by Sunderland Football Club. It was a training top that they wore last week for the Remembrance Day game. Retailing in the club shop. I still believe there's some left. There's only 1,000 got made of this. There were a limited edition shirt. Proceeds going to the Royal British Legion as well. Lovely poppy design on there. Rye absolutely loved it, apart from the badge in the middle. I don't think you were too keen on that bit, were you? But the rest of it, absolutely fantastic initiative from the club. Hummel and Sunderland Football Club absolutely getting it right off the pitch.
Not wrong.
And great. I'm very, very happy with this. Obviously, it's an extra medium because I need that bit more room. But yeah, it's going to get robbed live on the pod. that doesn't happen in Cyprus.
It's such a shame, honestly, because Hummel, you've had such a great kit launch with Hummel this season. Do you know what I mean? Every kit you've shown has been incredible. And then you got the mags with Adidas this season as well. And then we've still got area at the Borough where we don't have the away kit or the third kit in stock, and it's almost December.
Incredible.
Luckily, there's nobody there to buy it.
We did something on NFC Matters last night. Simon in San Diego ordered a Bruno top. They sent them it with Bruno 93 on instead of Bruno 39, and the full stop was in the wrong place. So sounds like we've still got issues even with Adidas, unfortunately.
Okay. Wow.
I did want to touch on this, and it's funny that you mentioned the shirt being robbed off here, but Joe Linton's house has been burgled again. Question of twice now in the space of 12 calendar months. Do the clubs need to do more with security, do you think? Or would you say it's more down to the individual, right? I mean, I guess a lot of this situation, you would think after his house has been burgled once, at least the security might have been around to give it the once over and give him some suggestions. But I presume because footballers get paid lots of money, it's their responsibility.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing, isn't it? I mean, does the club get involved because then it's got your personal life? I think there's unfortunately for footballers, it's the biggest promotion of I'm not going to be at this house at this time, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? When I'm, down playing against West Ham on Sunday Arvo sort of thing. So you know that the house is going to be empty. And I think, a smart footballer, the money that they're on needs to up their security, I think. And we've seen it. I mean, I think Isaac got knocked off as well, didn't he? I mean,
they caught those guys.
Well.
They caught those guys. They were flown in.
They?
They need to be careful on social media.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Yeah.
Everybody does. If you go onto social media and say, well, I'm off to Dubai next week.
Yeah, catcher, Yeah, exactly. So look, I think they need to take it. It's their own property, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not the club's property. Obviously, it's going to be their own stuff, their own cars, whether there's family members left behind, whatever sort of thing. I mean, if it was me as a footballer, I know that I put security cameras up and all that sort of stuff. That it's just about being that smart, and maybe when you're a young lad with all the money in the world, you got some expensive things that you got to make sure that you protect it as well. Security cameras, or exactly like you said, a security agency that maybe has someone close by when they know you for a couple, just for 2 hours or whatever, just during game time sort of thing, when you're going to be a prime target. So it's a big shame. It's happening a bit too much, especially in that Newcastle area as well, which is the boys on the bigger money at Newcastle, you know what I mean, as well. So they've got the more expensive things. So it's a big shame, and it should, unfortunately, it's the biggest advertisement of, hi, I'm not at my home right now because I'm playing on the pitch down here, sort of thing. So yeah, look, I think it's not on clubs to get involved. I think it's down to the individual to get involved and take not matters into their own hands, probably the wrong way of putting it, but just upping their own level of security and their own sort of protection. I think would be, I think they should all do that.
Yeah, Ted, it's not great, is it, when you hear stuff like this, and it seems to be becoming more common as well up and down the country with players.
It's the brazenness of us. Rice obviously mentioned it there that it's the biggest advert ever that they're not going to be in because they're in front of Sky cameras, they're in front of like 60,000 people, whatever. But yeah, it's just opportunist scumbags, and yeah, all right, these lads get a lot of money. Whether you think they earn that that amount of money per week is up for debate. That's an opinion piece, I guess. But really, I mean, to have to kind of spend more of your wages on security just because you do a job that's high profile and you're out of the house, it's a bit. Yeah, it's a bit harsh on them, to be honest. I think the club could be maybe doing, and clubs in general, I'm not just talking Newcastle here, because it's happened all over the place. It's happened, well, of course it was going to happen in Liverpool. Jesus, if it's not nailed down, they'll have it in Liverpool. But even the wheelie bins are clamped down. But yeah, I think the clubs need to do a little bit more. They've got a duty to care for their staff. Ultimately, players are staff of the club, and they should be doing a little bit more, whether it's like in an advisory capacity, like you said, Steve. I know somebody mentioned about Darras Hall being an iffy area. It must have changed since I was last there.
Believe you me, yeah, it's the Alsatians go around in pairs now, mate.
Really, that used to be like that was the the nice area of Newcastle at one stage, but yeah, I'm very surprised at that. And maybe whether you employ private security to kind of whether it's driving around these houses. I imagine that most of the players will probably live in the same sort of area. So whether you have your own private security kind of driving around checking on these sort of things, improved CCTV, things like that, but for it to come out of essentially a working guy's pocket, all right, they earn different money to what me and you earn, but they're still a working guy. They're still going out to work to provide for their family. The clubs could be doing more, and I think it's obviously the police are aware of this as well. Let's be honest.
Of course they are.
They know, and they maybe they should be a little bit more involved in these things as well.
Yep. Okay. The clock has beaten us once again. At least it's not Father Time, lads. That's the hour done. We will be back next week, and Ted has got the full week now to think of think of another What's the Fact.
What's the Fact? Sorry.
Have a good week.
See you, lads.
Have a good weekend, lads. Don't forget to subscribe to all 3 channels, and we will be ploughing out more stuff this week. But great to see you, lads. Take care.
Up the bar.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.